Good afternoon. I was going to say good morning. Good afternoon, everyone. I am elated to have had the opportunity to steal just a few minutes of this gentleman's time. Today, we have Todd Lindsay, CEO of A10 Capital. And here's why I'm elated. I was very reluctant to apply for the PPP funds. And probably in the ninth hour, I applied because I have two companies and I was rewarded funds for both of those companies. But I had a lot of, I was operating off of myths. Oh, things are okay. People needed more than I needed. And then Todd actually reached out, was doing some work with Exit Realty in numerous states, and they reached out to me to have a discussion because we realized that minorities and females were less likely to receive PPP funds. But Todd is here today because he has a special request, and plus he wants to drop some nuggets on you about the program. So Todd, how you doing today?
Good. Thanks for having me, Mark. I really appreciate it.
So what's going on in the world of PPP today?
Well, unfortunately, the PPP program is essentially shut down. There's a tiny bit of money left that's going out through special finance institutions called CDFIs. If you're not in the program or haven't been for the last few weeks, you probably have really almost no chance of getting any of the PPP funding at this point. There is some talk of an extension of time and money for the program for reasons that you and I will get into here in a minute, about who got the money from the program, it was originally intended for, and those sorts of things. So right now, it's sort of dead in the water for the PPP and anybody that's applied. And just to back up a touch, there's about 32 million businesses in the U.S. The PPP program made about 11 million loans. We probably got about 70% penetration into the bigger small businesses, but the sole proprietors, less than 10% of them received any of the PPP money, and there's probably 20 million of them outstanding that are eligible, but will not get access to the program unless it's extended in some way.
So I know that we initially talked about advocacy, doing a call to action, reaching out to your senators, and anyone else who can influence change, because small businesses overall really did not receive, look, percentage wise, substantially less, right, than any of the big organizations. And when you looked at those numbers, it was less likely to go to a minority business or a female business. So we definitely need people to reach out with a call to action to ask for a potential extension of the program. Todd, what would that look like?
So the two most important groups right now are probably NAR and NAREB, to reach out, as a real estate community to the elected officials. They're very powerful organizations, each one of them. I know they're considering supporting an extension and refunding of the PPP because there's probably 1 million real estate agents that are 100% eligible for this program that have not accessed it. Here at A10, we did close to 10,000 loans, which is a lot for us, to real estate agents. And I assure you that they are almost all eligible for the program. And unfortunately have been left behind. So those two trade organizations are critically important. If they don't support an extension of time and money, it probably won't happen. And then secondarily, if folks could reach out to their own senators and other elected officials and say, hey, as a matter of fairness, you guys need to consider refunding the PPP and extending some time. As you and I have discussed previously, the bigger small businesses had about 270 days of access to the PPP program. The smallest businesses really only 70, of them, 70 days of time. So it's a 4-to-1 difference in the amount of time people had access to the program. And as far as the money goes, 90% of the money went to bigger businesses. Less than 10% of it went to the truly small businesses in our country. It's just, like I said earlier, it's just a matter of fairness, in my mind anyway.
So when I think about fairness and the fact that we do have the National Association of Realtors, we have NARAB, the National Association of Real Estate Brokers, we have ARIA, we have the National Association of Hispanic Real Estate Professionals, and then we know where leaders are made. They're made with the Women's Council of Realtors that didn't even know that they could potentially get these funds. So I found out probably about 30 days. I actually still have second loans in the pipeline already when I found out that I was truly eligible, because I was fearful, didn't think I needed the money. What are they looking for? And when I had a discussion with the person in leadership, we talked about real estate professionals who have not filed their taxes. Now, you do have to submit your taxes in your Schedule C.
Well, ultimately you do, but you didn't have to have them filed to be eligible for the program. You could just submit a to be filed or substantially to be filed return, and you would have been eligible. It wasn't a requirement of the program that the return was actually filed with the IRS. So I mean, there's lots of little things like that, as you know, as we've walked through these things, that there was a lot of misinformation out there for sole proprietors and real estate agents. Let me just say one thing so that your viewers can understand something fundamental about the program. The way we were paid from the beginning, if we made bigger loans, we got paid a lot of money. For example, the biggest loan in the program would be a $10 million loan. We would have received a $100,000 fee. The average loan was a little bit more than $100,000, so we received about a $5,000 fee for that. If we did a $10,000 loan to a sole proprietor, we received a $500 fee. Well, what does that all mean? Well, if we did loans to sole proprietors, we lost $1,500 a loan. We're not in the business to lose money. If we did that average loan, we probably made $3,000, and if we did those bigger loans, that $10 million loan, we made $98,000. So where did we focus as an industry? I mean, I think it's obvious to everybody that's watching this what would happen from there. And what happened was the smallest businesses were neglected in many ways, including excuses to keep them out of the system, because the banks and lenders were going to lose money doing those transactions during the first two rounds and all of 2020's production. When we got to 2021, the Trump administration, on its way out, changed the fee structure to a flat $2,500 fee. So at least we wouldn't lose money doing those small loans. We'd make $500. Still not very much compared to our average transaction or those bigger ones, but at least the banks weren't losing money doing these things. But at the same time, they made many of the borrowers from 2020 from the first two rounds eligible for a second loan, where we got paid the same, and we hardly had any work to do. We just had to kind of redo everything, take care of our existing customers, and they got another bunch of free money, and we got more fees. So what did we do for the first half of 2021? Well, that we took care of our existing customers and made a lot of money. So when we got through doing that, then finally we started getting to the sole proprietors, and they were once the word got out, thanks to people like yourself. I mean, the volume was picking up across the board, not just here at our company, but everybody's volume was picking up. And then the money ran out 3 weeks ago tomorrow, and there was lots of people running around playing on the musical chair game, and lots of people didn't get a chair, and they aren't going to unless they refund this. I mean, it's just simply, the game was rigged from the beginning for the small people. And I hate to use the word rigged because that's probably not right. It was set up from the beginning. Whether it was intentional or not, we'll never know, but it was what it was. And so small people were never going to have access to this PPP program, just never gonna. And because like I said earlier, none of us are in the business to lose money. And so once they finally made the changes, and now it's out of money, and seems to be almost no appetite from the Republican side to extend the PPP for various reasons. Very similar to last summer, they started playing politics. The Democrats didn't want to extend it and fix it last summer because it might have helped the previous administration get reelected. And now the Republicans don't want to help the current administration. It's politics, I guess, 101. But in this case, the people that are caught in the middle are our smallest businesses, the 23 million sole proprietors in our country who thought they may have access, were told they didn't, really did have access from day one, just so everybody knows. But never got to the party. And it's a shame.
It is a shame, especially since those bigger organizations had an additional $200 days in order to have access. And one of the reasons we're talking today, because I'm a member of so many different organizations, especially the Women's Council, where women are making 82 cents on a dollar compared to men, we definitely need to access these funds and to get an extension of the program, because this is something likely never going to happen again in the history of business. You've done a great job. We've all felt some form of impact as a result of the pandemic. And because of the amount of misinformation that was given, I wanted you to come and tell people, one, I want you to be mad, right, about just the numbers, right? Where in the world of real estate, we have all these big real estate companies that got money, right? But about 80% of our real estate brokerages are small to medium companies who definitely needed those funds. Even if you're thinking about relocating your office and shutting down and going into a smaller office because you realize people don't come to the office as much, that is an expenditure. That is a cost of doing business. And so I see that. I think a lot of people had on their emotional hat the perception of how it looked, and they should have had on their business hat about the longevity of their business, payroll, rents, things of that nature, which definitely would help them qualify. So what does the real estate community need to do today?
Definitely reach out to your trade organizations in mass and get them to get behind an extension of this program. And then, like I said, reach out to your senators, especially if you're in a Republican state, and tell them it really doesn't matter, that your voices need to be heard. Fortunately, the real estate community is represented, but you are also representing millions and millions of small business people who aren't represented in Washington because they don't have trade groups for window washers and dog walkers and hairdressers and a bunch of other people that qualify for this program. So the real estate community is sort of leading the charge up the hill for the sole proprietors. They're very powerful people. I think they can do a lot. And to your, or I know you have to go, but to your earlier point, that you got to have your business hat on here. You got to get this money to pay back the credit cards you've had to use, replenish your savings that you've had to use to make it through the last year and a half. The political argument right now is, well, things are getting better and everybody's going to be fine. Well, yeah, maybe they are and maybe they aren't. But, we need to replenish our accounts and take care of what has happened in the past for our smallest businesses. That's the argument I'm making. I think it's critically important that the government realizes that, yeah, this is what happened. Let's make this fair. The PPP has been really successful at getting money to bigger small businesses. Let's finish the job that we intended to do and take care of the smallest businesses in our country. It's not that complicated. It's a lot of money, but on a relative basis, it's an incremental funding of about 10% of what they've already spent in the PPP. We'll take care of a whole bunch more of these sole proprietors and let everybody have fair and equal access to the program, including women and minorities who are overrepresented in the sole proprietor group, which is great that we have so many of them there. But because of that and our inability to get to the sole proprietors, they're underrepresented in this PPP program. So we need to fix that and fix it quickly.
So I want you to do a call to action to anyone, your senators, your House reps, your politicians, to ask them to extend the program. Numerous realtors have inboxed me that are grateful that they did, right? And people are telling me after they get the funds, right, that are grateful that they did. I know that I'm elated that I did, even though I was initially reluctant, because I understand the impact that it's going to have on the longevity, shoring up my business and things of that nature. So take action today, because we can, if enough voices are heard, we can get an extension, and that will definitely help. And you don't have to own, here's the thing, you don't have to own the real estate company. That's the thing. Can help over 1.4 million realtor members. So let your voice be heard for the longevity and financial stability of your real estate business. Todd, I thank you for taking time out of your schedule. It was a joy to meet you last week and a joy to have you today to just come over and share those tidbits with the realtor community.
All right. Thank you, Marky, so much. Let's talk again.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too.
Bye, everyone.